Hello and welcome to Conway Video. In this video I would like to talk about seven different reasons that we develop software. I think that understanding the reasons that software gets developed can really be useful in understanding the environment that you're working in and in being able to work better with teammates, to communicate better, and to understand what you're doing and to deliver. So without further ado, I'd like to go into the 7 different reasons that I've seen software being developed. Now, the first one is convincing. Software is often used in order to convince someone to do something. And I had this happen with one client that I had, for example, which was a government agency. And we were building the software in order to convince our client, which was a government department, basically ministers and people working in the government, to convince them that this idea was important, that citizens would use it, and that they should invest in it or become interested in it and start to use it. And so software is often used this way for a lot of different industries. Maybe it's a consumer product, or maybe it's in order to get investment from venture funding, venture capitalists to get it funded. But basically you're building the software and you're just building enough of the software to convince them to invest in your project or to hire a team or to in some other way engage with you or your software or your idea. And so this is often where prototypes are used in order to convince people to use the software product. You build just enough of it, maybe a prototype, or maybe you build like a minimum viable piece of software. Now, this is a little bit related to the second reason which I've seen, which is to envision something. Software is often used to give a concrete visual reality to an idea. And so it's much easier for people to understand the idea and then to start to think about the idea and develop it in their minds and imagine how it will be used in the future. It's much easier for people to do that when they can see a real physical product. They can see how it would work. Perhaps they can see a prototype of the application, or perhaps it's even a physical product that you're building that has some software as part of that. And so being able to build something to show people can get their mind going and can get them thinking about how it could be used, and it can also help a team to communicate together. When there's one common piece of software that everyone can look at and see, then it's easier for the team, for everyone to contribute and to understand each other, because now there's something everyone can look at and agree upon, and it's not just words and different interpretations of words. So that's envisioning. And then there's experimenting. So software is often used in order to experiment, basically in order to test an idea or a hypothesis in scientific terms. And what does that mean? Well, it means maybe you have a question. Say you want to know, do people read the terms and conditions when they're signing up for my software? Now, in order to test this, you build just 3 screens, basically. You build like one screen that shows the sign up button and they click that. The second screen shows like the terms and conditions, and maybe it's a big long piece of text with a submit button at the bottom. And then the third screen is you're all done. Thank you for submitting the terms and conditions. And so you might have just those 3 screens, very simple prototype, and you can put that in front of users, in front of real people, and watch them use it. And as they use it, you can measure things like how long does it take them to read the terms and conditions? What do they try and get out of it or escape it? And when you measure those things across lots of different users, then you can start to get an idea about whether your hypothesis is true or not. Or you might get an idea that you're asking the wrong question and you need to completely change direction and try a different hypothesis. And so software can often be built just for experimentation. You just want to prove whether something is true or not, or you want to measure how big or small something is. The fourth one is establish. This is a really interesting pattern that I've seen a lot with a lot of the clients I've worked with. Basically, this is where the software is like a platform that you're building. And so maybe you start with 1 or 2 applications, but what you really want to build is a platform that people keep going to again and again in order to get things done or to find information. And this can happen with consumer products. Perhaps you're building a platform for people to order taxis. So when they think about taxis, they immediately go to your app. Or maybe you're building a search engine like Google. This is very famous, of course, this example with Google, where they built a search engine. And now whenever people think of searching for something on the internet, they immediately think, oh, Google. And This can also happen within larger organizations. So you might have people in different parts of the organization wanting to know, where can I find out information about all of our customers? Well, they need to have some kind of CRM system, some kind of common place where they can always go to find out about their customers. And that's where your project within that organization might be to build that system, to get people using it, get people used to it, get people sort of hooked, so to speak, and then that becomes your platform. And then on top of that platform, you can begin to build other applications and expand it. And then I would say the fifth one is transform. I've seen software often used to transform an organization. So perhaps you are in an organization where people are very much used to using desktop applications, and that's the way the company generally works. Everyone uses these certain set of Windows applications, but you want to transform to using web applications or mobile applications. And so your job there is to build software that transforms the organization. And this happened with one client I was involved in, where we wanted to basically go from monolithic services that do everything to microservices, small applications and small services that do lots of different things, well, lots of different services that do different things. And so our job was to basically start to build some of those services, and by building enough of them, then the people in the organization could see how it was done and start to adopt it. And so the organization was kind of gradually transforming from one way of doing things to another. Now, the second last one, number six is address. So we often build software to address something. It could be that a lot of users have asked for the one particular thing, or it could be that lots of different users are asking for all different things, right? But we can identify among those things one kind of commonality. And so one of the classic examples is content management. So we might have lots of different people inside an organization, and they all want to do different things. Some of them want to change this part of the website, some of them want to change that part of it, some of them want to change this part. And so we identify the common need as people want to change things within our website. And so then we develop a content management system, and people can go in and log in and change one part or change another part. And so basically we're building software to address users' needs. And we might do this because we need to, otherwise people will leave or stop using our product. Or we might just do it because it's an extra opportunity to earn more revenue. A little bit like, say, Google did with Gmail. They already had their main search product, which was the Google search engine. But then once they started to see that the opportunity to meet other user needs, they started to expand into Gmail for people's email, or into Google Docs for people to build collaborative documents. Now the last one, and this is going to probably become very relevant over the next 10 years or so, is automation. We build software to automate things, and we might do that for different reasons. We might do it because the task is just easier and more pleasant and convenient when it's automated. Think about things like delivering food to people's homes. Or we might do it because there's a scale that we can achieve when we automate something again and again, rather than having it go through an individual person. And we can think about ATMs and how much easier it is for people to withdraw money from an ATM rather than by going to a bank teller. Or we might automate things for all kinds of other reasons, maybe to save costs, reduce costs, maybe because there are some things that can only be done in an automated fashion. They just can't be done at all by manual processes. So those are the 7, right? We build software to convince someone to do something, to envision how something might look and work and feel, to experiment. We have a hypothesis, we want to test, is it true, is it not, or how big is it, how small is it? To establish, we want to build a platform that people will come to again and again and keep using. We want to transform, we want to change from one way of doing things to a new way of doing things. We want to address a user need or a problem that we see a lot of people having. And we want to automate. We might want to make something automatic that used to be a manual process. And those are the 7 things I've identified. Now, I would be very keen to hear your ideas. What are some things that you've identified, that you've done, reasons that you've encountered for building software? And do you think that some of these items are more important than others? So yeah, please leave a comment or share your own video. Thank you.